Alright, so time to finish up with the readings of the descriptions and stuff so you can, get some more of a backstory. So, Preston Moyle. Background. Cloudbank's racing circuit never knew the likes of Preston Moyle, who shattered speed records within a plumb 4 years straight. Credited with popularizing the sport of 2000cc racing, Mr. Moyle gained celebrity not merely for his exceptional riding ability, but also because he built his motorbikes with his own hands. After the thrill seeker, Mr. Moyle became known for seeking out Cloudbank's remotest strips of road. Then one day, Mr. Moyle was altogether gone, having left all his personal effects behind, save for his fastest bike. Freewheeling. Tracking systems on his bike indicate that Mr. Moyle headed northwest across the canals late one night, averaging speeds 228% faster than the common standard. He surely was aware that the northwestern corner of Cloudbank was offline pending investigation, and this was likely the appeal. Having his very own abandoned part of town to race through on his custom bike was Preston Moyle's dream, and in reality lived up to the dream, judging by the volume of Mr. Moyle's laughter recorded by his bike. However, the recording stopped abruptly. OVC first declared Mr. Moyle's absence a full 5 days later, so sure were his associates that he would return like always. His close friends did not worry more than usual for 3 days, but for each subsequent day, their worry increased an average of 84%. This quotient proceeded to spread to the newest fans of Mr. Moyle's illustrious career, although administrators barred any appeals to search for him in the offline district. Alright, it's a Void. That's Asher Kendall.
Seen his byline on the OVC. Covering up the camera on his tracks. Doing a good job.
And it's worth knowing I got these down here. I don't know why.
You got on the camera on a short list. More than just a name to them now.
I guess you get an extra one so that if this one gets busted, you have another one to pick up. Whatever. Let's just get back to it, shall we? Let's jump into Flood.
Brackett. I know the name, but not the man. Heard he got out of town a while back.
Ah, so Royce Brock wasn't here. Oh well. Once there was a great engineer. Arithmetic was his medium, and his city was his canvas. He planned the roads, buildings, and byways. His work could not be more precise. Like everyone in Cloudbank, he served as the pleasure of the city's people. The city changed quickly and often, reconfiguring to best suit the contemporary sensibilities. Thus, the engineer's work was ephemeral. He loved his craft, but could not let himself become attached to the product of his efforts. Because the engineering's work was never done, it stayed fresh. With new whims came new challenges. Bridges, gardens, towers, ports. None of it lasted very long. The nature of his work let him notice certain patterns over time. The will of the peoples changed in cycles. Bridges would come down in favor of railways. Railways would give way to parks. New bridges would be built upon the parks, and so on. Recognizing this, the engineer started fashioning avant-garde structures and designs he believed would persist beyond the immediate urge of the population. Yet these ideas proved much less popular, and before much longer he became obscure, and left his job to pursue personal interests on his own. It was then that he discovered a formula visualizing exactly how the structure of Cloudbank formed. He studied the formula closely for it filled him with a deep sense of wonder, and even deeper sense of dread. He developed predictive algorithms to determine where and when the visualization would take form, and began drawing it out with his own architectural plans, until one day he found it in its natural state. He saw beyond the confines of the city into something more, and there before him was something extraordinary. He took it and realized the things he saw now stood at his call. So basically, he's the one who actually was behind the process coming out. He actually drew it out. And that's like what became the process because of this guy. So while you have like say Grant here being like the leader. Oops. That's Kendall. Well, Grant here was like the leader of like the Camerata. And I guess like, you know, he was like pulled in by like, you know, Asher. Like he's like his best friend probably. It was really this guy right here, Brackett, who was like, you know, the real menace behind the Camerata. He's the one who made all the process. You know, that's like the biggest, you know, threat to, like, that's, you know, from the Camerata, is what just from this guy. Anyhow, that's all done. All the reading. So that's Kendall. Let's get the bomb roll out of the way. So, Allmark. Very few are so well cut out for professional athletics as Allmark, who famously corrected reporters anytime they addressed him using honorifics. As a rookie playing for the high-rise Hammers, Allmark was a second-string quarter fielder until a chance injury put the team star out of commission, giving Allmark his chance to shine. Any skepticism surrounding his qualifications quickly dissolved as he proceeded to lead the Hammers to a crushing 17-2 season. But the following season proved an even greater surprise. Allmark gained a reputation for dramatic yet reckless plays. He was very strong, especially for someone of his age and stature, which not only led to significant victories, but also to many injuries on the field. Rival fans started calling him the cursed quarter fielder, for he inflicted some sort of injury to opposing team members in almost every match. This spurred controversy as to whether Allmark was acting with intent or without control, and both possibilities were troubling. Moreover, the league sought new safety regulations affecting the pace and spirit of the sport, for which Allmark felt personally responsible. When after one grueling match a reporter asked what he made of his notoriety, Allmark admitted he was considering retirement. Soon after, an administrator he met after a high-profile win offered to help him make a comfortable arrangement. To the Camerata, Allmark was a way of hedging the portfolio, in the sense that his talents and selections differed significantly from others they sought. At the same time, he was by every means unique as an individual, and his physical condition provided a useful data point. The Camerata reasoned that Allmark could go away without ultimately be for his own good. Indeed, following his report into retirement, his career was celebrated, his transgressions quickly overlooked or forgotten. So, you know, this is a rookie who came and went, and then he was just, you know, gone due to the Camerata. What's life without a little risk? And we got Mask here. So, Schatzberg, considered the most elusive entertainer in Cloudbank by 12% of the population. Mr. Schatzberg earned his reputation through numerous absurd public pranks and other daring or ill-advised feats. Thus, he earned the nickname The Magician from his many thousands of fans, and enjoyed executing highly unusual unscheduled performances in Cloudbank's most bustling neighborhoods. His acts grew more ambitious over time, culminating in his promise to skydrop into a restricted region of Go Walk and walk right out, escaping administrative detection. After constructing his personal glider, Mr. Schatzberg sailed forth one evening from a high-rise rooftop to delight of thousands of onlookers at ground level. Onlookers lost visibility of him as he flew into a dense fog hanging over Goldwalk. Though their train continued for more than 40 minutes, Mr. Schatzberg meanwhile completed his sky drop very much as planned. What he did not expect was that several individuals would be waiting for him when he touched down. The Camerata saw Mr. Schatzberg as someone who commanded a significant influence over a young and vibrant sector of the city's population. Mr. Schatzberg, for his part, initially mistook the Camerata for an administrative group, and was shocked and disappointed to have been located so easily. His famous escape attempts likewise proved unsuccessful in this particular scenario. Nevertheless, more than 80% of individuals who self-identify as fans of Mr. Schatzberg's work believe that his disappearance was all part of a stunt.
It's Nyla. Everybody said she split after Goldwalk Channel opened up.
Alright, well, let's see here. Nyla Chen. One would have difficulty finding a more active or outspoken member of the community of Cloudbank's Goldwalk district as Miss Nyla Chen. She allotted more than 66% of her available time on activities such as passing ordinances to improve underdeveloped regions, reaching out to and educating habitable non-voters, or advocating for groups lacking adequate representation. Her motives were rarely questioned, as her love for the district was in fact sincere, stemming from positive early experience that grew to become the fierce nostalgia. Miss Chen did have her distractors, however, and this became very clear at the opening she arranged for the Go Walk channel. The channel was to be a gallery space of sorts designed to showcase electric work from those pursuing non-stair vocations that traditionally held little share. Instead, Miss Chen found herself accused of stirring unrest by calling attention to meritless perspectives undeserving of notice. The group accosting her was angry for 17 different reasons in total, including how the channel edged out a competing vote for a metro station that would have bridged the gap from Goldwalk to neighboring high-rise in one short ride. Miss Chen publicly lost her composure in this particular incident, which would have escalated further if not for several individuals who stood in her defense. They later offered their support with any such matters in the future. She agreed to meet with them, not realizing who they were. The camerata saw Miss Chen as an invaluable moral compass of sorts, someone predominantly driven by philanthropic goals and seeking no personal gain for her actions. This type of perspective, they felt, was very important counterbalance in comparison to some of the other individuals they had in mind, whose work was no less significant in the city, but whose intentions were not as plain as see. After her disappearance, those who knew Miss Chen reluctantly came to believe that the channel incident shook her resolve enough that she decided to go away for a while to reignite her passions. So that was Bounce.
Nobody changed the sky like Yondale. Why her?
So Farrah Dale. She was Cloudbank's first ever sky painter, someone who took the everyday occasion of the ever-changing sky and made art of it. She worked for the pleasure of thousands who remembered they once took the sky for granted. Miss Yondale's gained a significant following as she transformed the skies around the city and as her skill and popularity grew side by side. She started taking requests. One such request came from her heart. She was drawn to the district of Goldwalk, where her Sur lived, and there she would change the horizon to shimmering sapphire for the solstice, and for their and everyone's sake. This was when her art became a liability. Administrative restrictions over in the northwestern part of Goldwalk conflicting with the breadth of the sky that needed painting. Because of her psychological state, however, Miss Yondale disregarded the restrictions and painted away. The result was stunning, as the majority of onlookers failed to find words to describe it. But because Miss Yondale wantonly ignored a front-page directive from administration, she was banned from sky painting for a term of 2.5 times longer than she was found acceptable. She petitioned for reprieve, and came in contact with an administrator who suggested there was ways that the term could be lightened. She was eager to learn how. Miss Yondale's gifted command over a dimension of the city's physical and natural beauty caused the camera to seek her out. While aspects of the city evolved at a constant rate, the particular way in which Miss Yondale approached her craft, with a strong, discerning, intuitive sense, but with an eye for wishes of her followers, created a particular disposition that appealed to the camerata. After she vanished, close to 70% of Miss Yondale's connections decided she must have fled the district to escape sentencing, and that somewhere out there the skies still sparkled with the patterns of her clothes choosing.
Sybil Rise.
I read her.
Left the party. She was bad news from the first.
And then we got Wave Tennigan. Mr. Wave Tennigan traded the quiet life of the Sanctuary Vicar to become one of the Cloudbank's biggest alternative broadcast personalities for his district blend of good-natured mannerism and inclusive social commentary. Straddling the generational boundary between the old guard and the new, Mr. Tennigan offered a candid perspective on the many factors influencing the city's evolution. But during one of his many meet-and-greet events with his listeners, he met a group of individuals who would forever change the course of his life. That evening, after his event drew to a close, Mr. Tennigan met members of the group calling themselves the Camerata. They invited Mr. Tennigan to come and see what was really going on in the city, as long as Mr. Tennigan promised not to disclose any facts concerning the existence of the group. Mr. Tennigan outwardly accepted, for his curiosity could not be quenched, but he inwardly refused, for his commitment to the listeners precluded the keeping of any secrets. First, he would meet the camera on their terms. As far as anyone knew, Mr. Tennigan took some personal time, as one day his broadcast simply stopped. He had never missed a day of broadcasting in his life, and so his listeners were all disappointed, were very understanding and both happy and concerned for him. A significant majority believed Mr. Tennigan finally took a break, as he often promised he would one day. Since then, Mr. Tennigan's young producer inherited the show. The listenership steadily declined to bomb out at just 20% of Mr. Tennigan's average. So basically, the camera went off after a whole lot of people who were like influential in like the city of Cloudbank, and I guess they like all like put their function into like the city for some reason. They never really went into the story in a whole lot of detail, which is I find, I guess fine if you're like going for like a brief lore type of perspective. Make your like imagination soar. And that's really what this game was all about. It's all about imagination soaring. So anyhow, that's it for Transistor. I hope you've enjoyed like the playthrough. And take care.